Oh, hello, I didn't see you there. My name is Abe Honder, and I'm the founder of the Lead Society, and joined as always with my trusty co-host from sunny Florida, Richard Olarsaba. Richard,
Hey,
how are you?
good.
Did you get outside today?
Yes, I was going to say, I'm currently dog sitting, so I was able to get some good old sunshine while going on a walk with the dog.
Nothing like a dog to get one outside. Richard, would you
Right?
be
Force
so
you to exercise.
would you be so kind as to introduce our guest today?
Yes, no, I'm so happy that this week we were able to get a wonderful, wonderful world renowned baritone from Japan, Takaoki Onishi. Thank you so much for being with us, Taka.
Hi, hi.
That is our
Thank you,
studio.
thank you.
That is our studio audience who joins us faithfully every Saturday.
Hello,
No,
hello, hello.
but thank you so much for being with us in this beautiful morning in Japan.
Yes, I am talking from Japan. Hi, my name is Takaoki Onishi. I'm a Japanese baritone, and now I was in United States for quite a long time, and now I'm based in Japan.
Yes. And you've been home for how long now? Well, I mean, since I mean, obviously before the pandemic, but like,
Home. Well, I came back to Japan from Europe actually. Like
that's right.
I was in, yeah, I was in for the very first beginning of the pandemic in like March, April. I was in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
I was gonna do Madame Butterfly over there, but obviously it was canceled, and I was sort of stuck there for like a 1 or 2 months, and then I decided to go to Europe, and I strangely I was in Hungary for like a two months or something, and then I came back to Japan around October
Hmm.
because we gradually started doing the shows
Hmm.
in the fall and winter. So yeah.
I know you've been like you've been really lucky to be in Japan at a time when, as like a society, they've been really been able to like sustain music, and you've actually been really busy like since the fall and winter these past couple of months. So lucky you.
Yeah, I felt very fortunate. Of course, like well, it's still nerve wracking every day. Like I do have a concert like next week, but it could be canceled in any minute. But in Japan, we did relatively well with the virus, and yeah, we still able to do some shows. Yeah, so I've been very lucky and feel grateful for
Very
that.
good. Well,
Yeah.
Taka, for our new guests, we usually like to give our audience an opportunity to get to know you better, because shame on them, they should already know who you are. But for those that don't, we have a couple clips, and I thought a good introduction would be this Beethoven 9 that you had the pleasure of doing at the end of 2020. Could you just give
Yes.
us a little story and a little background around it? Because when you look at the video, you see that every precaution is taken. There's plenty of room between everybody, and even in the couple clips that you can see of the chorus, everyone's like far apart, but there's like hundreds of people. And so, like, how did you
Yeah,
how did you pull that off?
dummy me. I thought there was like 10 people in the choir.
Yeah, on the actual stage there was only like a 30 or 40 people in the choir, but so that even was actually it was supposed to be canceled. Like it was a because it was supposed to be like a with the professional chorus and amateur chorus in the arena. So it was supposed to be like over like 1,000 people or something, and of course like that's the most ridiculous thing you could do in the pandemic. And but then it was canceled, and then organizer said, why don't we do it, because we have a venue, we have this new big arena and where you can do classic music too. And so we did the so Beethoven Ninth on the floor of the arena. We did orchestra and soloists and the professional chorus, and then the one side we had a Tokyo Music College student, like 100 people in the chorus, and then the other side it was a volunteer chorus, like amateur chorus people. So we got all together, and like of course like they have like 2 seats away to each other, so that like they have like very safe distance, and we all got tested, and we just streamed it. So it was one of the very very creative process I've seen, and it was the perfect thing we did during the pandemic.
Let's
Awesome.
take a look, shall we?
Sure.
Oh, I just love that maestro.
Yeah, he's very energetic. He's one of the best guys in Japan. Yeah, and also we have this. I don't know if you guys know about it, but in Japan we have a very big Beethoven 9 tradition.
Mm.
It's like a Messiah in States. I guess it's kind of a similar thing. Like everybody, like in every church, like a chorus group get together and do the Beethoven 9th in Japan. It came from the World War II when we had a German people in Japan because of the alliance, and they performed Beethoven 9th during the war, and which is sort of like a cultural exchange thing, and that tradition is still live today.
Wow. Well, and
Yeah.
like, in a way, like for 2020, how appropriate, because 2020 was supposed to be the big Beethoven year anyway, and so in a way he kind of got gypped. So I'm glad, like in Japan, they still did it.
Yeah.
By the way, I have to say that the oboe player was fantastic. So good.
Oh yeah. They're already good orchestra players. It was an orchestra just for that concert, but they got really good people.
Now, this is for my future reference, because Abe is right. Like the music making is phenomenal. Is all of that online available?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go look for it. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, like the whole thing it's on YouTube. So
what is it? The Beethoven Jubilee Orchestra?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Especially made for that.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know. Maybe 2021 we'll have to have like a redo for all the Beethoven concerts that were planned and canceled.
Yeah.
He can finally have his just dues.
Oh yeah.
So Taka, a couple weeks ago, you and we had a common friend on the show. We had Ming Jae Lei on the show, and
Yeah.
something we talked about with him was this very special perspective that the both of you have, being
Mhm.
originally born and raised in the East, and then
Mhm.
getting your education in the U.S. So you're able
Right.
to really like draw from your own experiences from your own respective countries, and then you
Mhm.
learn how to apply it at least in the States, and then use it really everywhere.
Mhm.
What do you feel like in your time in the States that you really felt like was maybe different in different traditions, like how maybe Americans do something versus how they do it in Japan, or even in Europe, like where you sung?
Yeah. Well, so I was born in Japan and raised in Japan, and also I graduated university in Japan too. So I had like really like long education in Japan, and then I came to New York to study at Juilliard, and then I went to Ryan Opera Center with you, Richard,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a great time. The music education in Japan is very good. We have a lot of string players and a lot of orchestra players who play all over the world. But singing is something we some like it's Japanese people are a little shy, you know. So it's not something like comes very naturally for us. And of course, like I love music, and I loved opera, and of course because I studied it. And so the one thing, the first thing I really noticed when I came to New York is like how expressive people are. So, and the acting skill was fantastic. Like everybody was like really, I think because of the culture, like movie and like drama, you guys have quite long history of those things. I was really inspired, and so yeah, that kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking earlier this week in preparation for the show, and it was something that we talked about with Mingjae, which is this idea of where we are as a country now. We're trying to really find a balance, especially in the arts, of this idea of equity and representation, and really allowing the diverse culture that we actually have here in the States, and saying everything's worthy, everything's able to be attainable. Like, why not? We have such a diverse tapestry of different cultures living in this country. Why not present it in especially like the classical arts? I
Right.
think 2 weeks ago when we were talking with Mingjae, it's the idea of bringing Chinese folk song into the recital hall and saying like this is our version of this exact same like platform. And you and I were talking about how for a while, and it's still kind of, hopefully it stops now, that this idea of people getting typecast because of how you look. And you and I were talking about how like you had to play a lot of Asian roles, and it's like, well, duh.
I mean, I like those.
Yeah.
We talk. It's during even the just the opera I said it before, the Madame Butterfly. I was gonna do the Yamadori, and it was like I've been like casted for those kind of roles a lot, and which I really enjoyed. Like Yamadori has like one of the very beautiful lines.
It's a great scene.
The Butterfly. Oh yeah, it's a great scene, and like, and I'm gonna do the Ping in Turandot somewhere in the US. I cannot say that yet, but yeah. So and I love that role actually. It's one of the best role that the high baritone can have. But like if I was only limited to those roles, it's my true dream, like my real dream, is like total colorblind. Like the one day I want to do sharpless, even though it's for the stereotypical character, it has to be like very American, someday I want to see some Asian folks do the Pinkerton. I want to see like like whatever, like anything, like gender can be like white, black, whoever. And the opera companies some like in the past, like they were kind of stuck in mind, oh, like we have to do we can't do yellow face or black face, so why don't we give those roles to the Asian people or black people? But it's like, no, it's like, like we should do whatever the voice is, right? So that's always been my dream, and I'm glad to see some companies or like the casting directors are aware.
Well, and for anybody who knows their opera history, and especially in the States, knows that, if I'm correct, your Lyric Opera of Chicago debut was actually playing a Peruvian priest. Wasn't
yes.
For the world
new opera called Bel Canto. Yeah,
but that's the story. That was the book, and Patcha. That's the way she wrote it, and you fit your voice fit the character. So it was like, who cares what you look like, but you happen to be a Peruvian priest.
yeah, it was great production. I loved every minute of it. So yeah, and of course, like it was a story about Japanese embassy and stuff. So the first I was a little confused, like, oh, I'm not playing the Japanese character, but at the end it was beautiful music, and I like the part. I like the being priest, like Peruvian, like Spanish speaking priests. How many languages was there? Like there was like 9 or like 8 languages.
In the entire show, I think we counted. Yeah. I want to say like 8 or 9. We're talking every of your mainstream European languages. You had your English, German, French. You had Russian. You had Spanish. You had Quechua, which is native to the Andes, and I feel like there was something else in there as well. But and the best part, and again, like this is the behind the scenes when for anybody who wants to see Bel Canto, go onto PBS. It's on there for their great performances, and you can see Taka. But the behind the scenes part is that despite the fact that the majority of the show was cast kind of colorblindedly, that the 2 main Japanese dignitaries were played by Asians. We had Jungcho Cha, who's a Korean bass baritone, and we had Andrew Stenson, Asian American. And in both cases, having to be Japanese dignitaries, none of them spoke a word of Japanese, so everyone was actually turning to you, Taka, and they're just like, exactly. How do I sing this?
I told them. Yeah.
You have to go to the Peruvian priest for Japanese lessons.
Right, yeah. I even suggested some of the words that has to be changed, so...
I was going to say, I'm like, and where are those royalties? Thank you very much. No. But no, I agree with you. This idea of like casting colorblindedly, because honestly, who cares? And if you can sing it, and again, kind of bringing up the history of Chicago, like you actually covered the title role in Eugene Onegin when the production came to Lyric, and you actually went on. For one of the rehearsals, you actually did the entire final scene, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Like notice of 3 minutes, maybe even less.
Yeah.
What's it like to get the call that you never think you're going to get?
I know. Well, it was a funny story. I mean, Richard, you did the same thing in the Don Giovanni. The same singer who we were covering, and you
in both cases. I went on for the whole show, but in both cases, we sang with Ana Maria Martinez.
Oh, that's right.
So shout out to Ana Maria.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, what is that? Like, I mean, for me, it was, I had, as far as the story goes, I had 4 hours before I knew I had to go on for the whole show. But you were just standing in the wings, and what is that like?
No, I was in this Ryan's lounge, actually. And So at that time, in the Eugene Onegin, I was also singing the actual role, the role of captain, which is a small role in the beginning of the second act, and I had a few lines, and I was actually waiting for my curtain call
Mm-hmm.
for the show, like for the final dress rehearsal, and so after the second act finale, where Yoo Jong-Egin sings this dramatic aria, and just music stops for a while, and I was like, they must have some like technical issues, and like they waited a little longer, and then like I hear the announcer like, oh, Mr. Onishi, come to stage immediately. I was like, to stage? Like what? And first thought was, what did I do wrong? what did I mess up? It's like I was like, oh my god, like director is like angry at me or something. It's like I screw up something, and then I went down, and everybody was like having costume, and like they basically throw those costumes at me, and one of them are actually the Dmitry Horotovsky's original costume. So then I got to wear them, but I didn't know. I didn't, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I have to wear this and just jacket, and like the other parts are like completely like this like uniform of the captain, and then I went to the stage where I still didn't know what's happening. It's like,
I mean, was there like somebody with a score next to you, like?
just go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, so the assistant director came up to me in the wing, and she said, "So, yeah, like you can do this, right?" It's like, I was like, I think so. I like, yeah. I'm ready. And then like just the music started. Like nobody just like, oh, okay. In 1 minute after Tatiana sings, I have to go on. I was like, and I didn't. But it was something. I mean, like I guess you had the same feeling, Richard. Like everybody was so supportive on the stage. Yes. Like prompter or like side, like they were like assistant conductors and like directors, and like, go this way, and it was great time. It was, yeah. And like Anna Maria was like, you know, she's like, you know, so she stands upstage for me, and she was like this, you know.
always the consummate colleague, and
yeah. And if you make some mistake, you know, it's like everybody knows you changed, you know. So,
but I will say, in your defense, I remember hearing when that happened, and I heard it was a great success. So it was no fault of yours. You did exactly what you were prepared to do.
Yeah.
But you know, I again, like, just kind of having people get to know you better. I always really respected not only like how well you worked in the rehearsal environments just as a musician and who you were. And then I realized, and it wasn't until later when I got to meet your wife, and it's because your wife is a pianist, so you have a considerable advantage of having someone who knows. And I actually, like, you've been able to perform a lot together, and can you? It's a rare pairing when you can have successful musicians come together and actually like share a home and still like be together. So that's like, what is that like to have, you know, have your partner also be like a musical partner as well?
Well, yeah, she's a really good pianist. We actually did a recital together like 3 weeks ago from now. And yeah, like of course, like it's sometimes it's very difficult because of course, like if your partner is also a musical partner, and you sometimes think about, oh, if I say this to her, like if I have this, like, not like mean request or anything, but just like, you know,
it's a suggestion.
It's a suggestion, and like I think about, oh, what's gonna my dinner will be like if I say this, you know. So that kind of thing, like it sometimes, like, but it's great, like you listen to the same music all the time, and you know, and she knows my voice better than anybody else, so it's a good. Sometimes like I of course I have to work with other pianists or some orchestras and conductors and stuff, but I usually go to her to get some suggestion, even if she doesn't know the piece very well. And I was like, oh yeah, you don't sound as well as blah blah blah, like in the past, or like yeah. So and she she just doesn't teach me or anything, but she, just some perspective, like what's been changed and what's what could be better, what could go better.
Well, and like you've been really fortunate that even when you were in the States for a long time and she was able to be with you, that you guys were actually able to like not just do recitals, but I remember you were prepping like several competitions, and you had to like these were like song competitions, so you had to prepare like entire recitals, and thank God you guys could actually like prepare it together.
Right. Yeah. It was the very beginning of my ensemble year. I think it was the Montreal competition.
That's right.
And yeah, and thank God, thank her, I made it to the finals. And those two first rounds are with the piano. Like it was basically like whole like 30 minutes recital.
Wow.
Each round it was really hard, but also like not only as a pianist, but also like mentally, like she was very great help for me. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, as we stated before, you've been able to perform pretty consistently since being in Japan, like these past couple of months, even despite the pandemic. And we actually have another clip of you singing in I forget. So like, describe to us, like it was Rinaldo, and like how did what was the whole setup about, like the whole production?
Oh yeah, this is very unique actually. So I was singing the role of Arcante, who has very famous aria called Similar, and so it's also during during the pandemic. It was in the November 3rd or something, I think, and it was a good production, and it's kind of unique. Maybe we just watch it, and then I can talk about it later.
Very good.
Yeah.
Here we go. Tell us about that production.
So it's kind of unique, right? Like you see some. So okay, so this is. So of course we obviously did it in the concert hall, so it's not like real theater. And the orchestra was Bach Collegium Japan. They're really renowned Baroque specialists. Wonderful conductor Masaaki Suzuki founded the orchestra, and it was actually his son that was conducting.
Wow.
And playing cembalo, and it was very great production where Rinaldo, the protagonist of the opera, was he's playing the video game. He's and sort of arrogante, so he's like a evil king in the opera, right? So he's like a sort of like a Bowser in the Mario franchise. You know what I mean? It's like a villain character. So he kidnapped the Armilena, which is who sings Lascia Ch'io Pianga, the very famous soprano aria. So she's like a Princess Peach in a way, and yeah, like that's literally. The director told us, like, yeah, so those three characters, those are like a video game, and Ronaldo became Ronaldo playing the video game, and I think it was also like inspired by this like quarantine time. So yeah, actually in the beginning, the Vorspiel, the overture, Ronaldo got the like Amazon package. And like they had like he had this like newly sold video game. It was like called Ronaldo, like Baroque RPG. It's so, and people loved it. I was a little like during the production. I was like I was listening to the director's like concept meeting. I was like, I don't know if it really works, but it did.
It makes so much more sense now that you told me that, because I was watching it and now I totally get it.
Yeah. So the other side, so of course, like we have to keep the distance and everything. So it sort of worked because of the whole like setting, the in front of the orchestra we were singing, and yeah, so it was such a fun production. Like later, like we have like this fight scene, and you know, usually in the fight scene, like you have to get really close to like do the sword fighting, but it's a video game, so we can be like a Fire Emblem type of like, you know, I swing the sword and like, you know, the damage goes like 3 feet away.
You know, I mean, I've seen a couple productions that were done in Europe where they try to use the same concept and say like, hey, let's use video games. But, you know, the way you describe it, it actually makes sense. So
right.
I kind of want, I've never been in one like that. I kind of want to now.
Right. It was great. It was so fun. The poor countertenor, he had to sing like 6 or 7 arias, and then like he had to be on the stage the whole time because he's still playing the video game. He just can't go like, okay, you know,
there's no offstage time.
No. He's like when I'm like singing something sad and he's like sleeping in the bed and something. It was a fun production. It was I'm really glad we did it. And that's another thing I was fortunate about this whole situation, because it was also supposed to be the main cast are supposed to fly from the European States. And so I was sort of like some of us, like I think 3 or 4 of us are sort of like a replacement for those singers. But you know, because the director was Japanese and everybody was sort of like, we had like more like better communication during the production. So it turned out to be a great success. So,
I mean, several times on the show, we've talked about the possible silver linings when it comes to the pandemic and the impact that it's had on the musical community. And in the case of, you know, like in Japan, like when you still have the performances and you're expecting foreigners to fulfill the positions and they can't even travel, then it's like, well, we're already here, so why don't you just use us?
Right. And also like it was a good discovery for people like classical fans in Japan, because, you know, they think, oh yeah, like European people are like they think, I mean, like they are really good, but you know, like they own like sort of, they see like local artists are, you it also happens in States, I guess.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Well, and
yeah.
no, you're totally right. And like, you and I have seen that with our tutelage in the States. That is something that
Mm-hmm.
I've come to learn is that a lot of singers from China, from Korea, from
Mm-hmm.
Japan, that when they come to the States, it actually helps to legitimize how
Mm-hmm.
good they actually already are. And having the education from the States really helps that when they go back home.
Yes.
And in a way, I mean, you could speak on this better than I could, but like I wonder what that is like, especially during the pandemic when there
Mm-hmm.
are so many musicians trained in
Mm-hmm.
like in Western music that are
Mm-hmm.
actually native to your country, that
Mm-hmm.
are local, and it's saying like use us because you're
Mm-hmm.
right. It's kind of the same way in the States every now and again because you could have, say again, like if we do like any Mozart opera, you can find every single member of the cast 10 times over just
Mm-hmm.
by like knocking on someone's door next door. Like there are just
Right.
so many people who can sing that kind of repertoire,
Yeah.
and every now and again you're part of a production and they have to fly
Mm-hmm.
somebody in. I'm
Mm-hmm.
very thankful because that
Mm-hmm.
has happened to me a couple times where I'm flown
Of
in.
course, of course. Yeah.
I sang Don Giovanni in Hong Kong because I had that
Yeah.
opportunity, but they have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of really good singers there, and
Mm-hmm.
even like what I've seen from my friends that are still in Hong Kong, that like they're actually able to fulfill those roles that normally
Mm-hmm.
would have gone to foreigners, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a way to bolster up your musical community where you live, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to always
Mm-hmm.
relying on somewhere else. And and I wonder, like, has that changed a little bit since the pandemic? That a lot of local Japanese musicians are being utilized.
Yeah, utilize and also like recognize. I think it's like they haven't. For example, like the National Opera Theater, we have like Tokyo National Opera Theater, and like they tend to go to like foreigners for the bigger roles, and like we sort of like Japanese singers kind of fill the rest of the cast, that kind of mindset they had. But of course, like nobody could fly into Japan, so they use Japanese cast, and they surprised by like how the quality of the singers from Japan. So I think it was a good thing. Of course, after the pandemic, we hope to open, and of course, like we have choice. We have like bringing in or using Japanese talent, like both. Like we have to have that balance. But I think it's a good time, and like I have a lot of the fans saying, "Oh, this is just like good as like it used to be." So
Good.
so
I mean,
yeah, yeah,
no,
the
very good.
yeah. So it's not about the racism per se,
Yeah.
like not just the racism per se, but also like exoticism
Yeah.
that people tend to really weigh in, and I think this is a good chance to like discover the talents like everywhere. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it was a
think
time.
I totally agree with what you're saying. That it for a long time, I think, especially in opera, because of the theatrical aspect to it, that we do rely a lot on this, like you said, exoticism. I think that's the perfect
Mm-hmm.
word for it because
Mm-hmm.
it's it's different. It's different from
Mm-hmm.
like what we are. So if you're like, if you're in Omaha and you see somebody from a different country, you're like, that's cool because
Mm-hmm.
normally maybe you wouldn't see so many people. And
Mm-hmm.
what a time, to actually rely on the talents of people who are from that area and say like we've always been here. Or like in your case, it's just like I'm from here. I've studied and performed
Mm-hmm.
abroad, but now I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
and I do hope that in the future, like you said, that you're able to actually have a more balanced choice as opposed to just
Mm-hmm.
relying on somebody who you've never maybe heard of or heard a lot of.
Right.
So I mean, here's looking to the future. Speaking of which, with things hopefully turning around better as far
Mm-hmm.
as the pandemic's concerned, and
Yeah.
performances starting to open up. And not to disclose any performances that you can't talk about, but is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to once things kind of get back to a normal way of like having audiences and everything?
Right. Well, again, like there are two like future contracts that I cannot talk about in the States actually. So I really hope by then it's the things go back to normal or like new way, like either way, like we're gonna be able to perform again. And also like even if even we are doing the shows in Japan too, but like of course the way of performing are a little different, you know. So I'm really looking forward to have the full audience and like close contact, like not having to do the love scenes like 6 feet away. So yeah, those are the things.
That you mean you didn't do the love scenes like it was a video game?
Oh yeah, exactly. Maybe like we only have phones. Like, yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure I'm sure some German companies already did that, but
exactly. I was like, someone's already done it. Wow. So you know what, Taka, it actually makes me so happy to reconnect with you after our time in Chicago, but also, and you reminded me just because like, you know, this pandemic has been so long that we actually did a show together in Raleigh, North Carolina back in the beginning of 2019. So it's been 2 years since I've seen you.
It's been 2 years. Yeah.
But
it was also a fun time.
It was. Yeah. It was.
Yeah. You're from North Carolina. You studied there or something?
Yes, right? I went to school in North Carolina.
Okay.
He played lots of video games in North Carolina.
Yes. It's the only way to pass the time when you're not in class. No, but it makes me so happy to be able to reconnect with like all of you, like over the course of this, you know, doing this show with Abe. But it makes me really happy that you've been able to keep singing through all of this and actually have like a venue for this. So many of us, you know, it's been hard. It's been hard everywhere. We know that. But I think when we have people that we know and people that we really care about that are actually doing the things that we all wish we could be, but we see them doing it, it makes us so happy. And every time I saw an update of a different performance, whether it was canceled or just transferred to like a digital platform, I've been so happy to see you stay active through this time, and it sounds like it's not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. But yeah, thank you.
Well, we're so happy that you've kept busy during this. Certainly, I'm happy that Richard's been along for the ride to keep me busy. And someday we'll have to like play video games together. Like even, you know, next time you're in town.
Yeah.
We'll set up I don't know.
We set up the
What do the kids play these days?
Yeah.
Pong.
Wonderful.
Yes, the original Pong.
Oh, okay.
Good old-fashioned Atari.
Yeah, of course.
Taka, this is the time in our show when we give our guests the opportunity to give shout-outs to whomever they'd like. So if there's anyone you'd like to thank, perhaps your wife, now's the time. And
okay,
go.
Okay. Oh.
No pressure.
Thank you to your wife.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is like a good hi and hello to Mickey and
am I supposed to talk now?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I thought I have to wait for the music to
Oh no, you do it during the music. This is our
but I have to thank because I'm doing this from Japan, and like I have I'm sure there's some Japanese audiences, so I have to thank them, and I want to thank people who supported me during this pandemic. So thank you very much. ありがとうございました。
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time you're in town or in the country, and we look forward to seeing you on screen or in video games everywhere. I hope you have licensing rights to your character.
There you go.
Yes.
Good night, everyone.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us.